Good. You can hear me good, right?
Yeah, I can. Sounds a little muffled. I'm not sure if it's sitting on something or
Let me see.
there we go. That sounds better.
All right. I think I just had something close to the speaker or something.
Speaker, that's what it was.
Yeah. I've been doing them. It's funny. I probably have, I don't know, $5,000 worth of audio equipment in here, and I just keep recording them right here on my MacBook.
The ease. You seem like you like simplicity.
I'm a, um, I tell my team all the time, quantity of content beats quality of content. Quality of information is paramount, but quality of audio and video is often just an excuse to not put stuff out.
I don't have a 4K camera.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm going to put out some content, but what kind of camera should I get? You got one built into your laptop? That'll work. You got an iPhone?
iPhone's damn near better than any camera out there. But dude,
Dude, the iPhone camera is incredible. So, I mean, if you compare it to what we would have considered the highest quality camera that existed just, I don't know, 10 years ago, the iPhone now is better than that, probably, than any DSLR that we would have had back in the day.
yeah, I'm using my Sony Alpha right now, but damn near camera when I hook that up to OBS, it's almost just as good. So it's
Yeah.
but dude, I figured I'd talk to you about your new book, Purpose After Service, and
Yeah.
then go through some of the sales stuff just to get your perspective on it. But you
Well, I
talked to
appreciate that.
Carson in a while?
I haven't talked to him in a while. He used to like be real active in the group, but I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, I'm getting out of the insurance stuff. I've been moving over to different offers and stuff. I do want to talk to you about some of that, who you learned marketing from, or kind of where you
Yeah.
got
Oh,
started.
I learned. I used to consume marketing content like crazy. I went through sales, then it was digital sales, and it led me to marketing. I actually started off productivity content. That's what got me into things. Is I was listening to podcasts and I started productivity. I don't know. It's funny now because you think about it. It's like everything was about it. If you look at it, it's like I didn't know what I was looking for, but I was looking on for how to do more with my time. And so it was like product, how can I be more productive? And then productive led me to marketing because now I could shorten my prospecting cycle with marketing. And then eventually it became, biz ops, like because I could replicate myself. So but really all you're doing, whether it's when it's sales, productivity, marketing, biz ops, and then investment strategy, like everything is how do I recapture time and then reuse it to compound it again.
Just
And
reallocate. I don't know why this stuff isn't really taught as much in the insurance space. It seems like our industry is like 10, 20 years behind. Would
oh,
you
it is.
agree with that?
Yeah, but the good thing about that is because it's so far behind, if and this is what I did with marketing, is so many people were like, there's nobody out there teaching how to do this. They're just teaching it for other industries. So just go learn what other industries are doing and apply it to ours. And really you kind of have a head start because you know what I mean? Like you're
It
able
blows
to.
my mind. All of you have all of Russell Brunson's books, and go pick up some damn Kennedy.
Russell Brunson led me to Dan Kennedy, but like, yeah, the
Same
Dan
here.
Kennedy messaging is like magnetic marketing is super solid. And actually, some of the best marketers I know in Medicare, that's what they implemented was old school Dan Kennedy stuff. Like they didn't even know who. I've met some old school marketers that were using copy that they use. Like one of them actually had a letter series they've been running for like 2 decades, and Dan Kennedy wrote it, and it's Medicare. So,
Interesting. I have some
like,
stuff from him for life insurance agents from his personality and copy course that I had listened to. That's funny. Yeah, our stuff is so outdated, but we'll get this kicked off. So everybody is Justin Brock. He doesn't need a fancy introduction. You know what he's done. He's accomplished some pretty great things. You recently sold, what was it, 51%
yes,
ownership of your company for a pretty nice exit, which all of you agency owners can hope to aspire to, because that's really where a lot of the big money is made in this industry. So let's get into this. I think the last time I messaged you is when that girl was causing riffraff in all these Facebook groups. I was looking through our old messages. It was like, she didn't refund me a $97 payment.
I think I remember. I know who you're talking about. She was pretty wild and out, man. It's funny you you get the most issues out of the people that have spent the least amount of money. That's kind of that, like, part of that 90-10 rule, I think. But yeah, she was like the RV chick.
Like beat her kids. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah. Oh,
you got
yeah.
a lot of nerve.
She had all the crazy stuff online, man. Yeah. Glass house people shouldn't throw no stones, man.
That's good. That's funny. So, dude, I want to kind of go into sales as a gateway drug. You had mentioned that to me. So, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. Sales is a gateway drug. That, I've said this as, you know, I've struggled to find any purpose in life. I was married, I had kids, I was in the Marine Corps, and coming out of high school, I was like everybody's friend, class clown, guy. But I was looking for kind of this bigger. I guess my note taker came on here.
Yeah,
Um, I was looking for something, some purpose, and I thought I'd get that in the Marine Corps, and I didn't. And that's not a knock on the Marine Corps. A lot of people do find purpose in the military, but which you will get into, like my book is Purpose After Service. But I was looking for purpose through there, and I it didn't matter what job I was. I was always somebody that was going to work hard towards the job. So I'm not somebody that's not going to work, but it was nothing big, right? And so when I got out of the Marine Corps after 8 years, I had a 3 and a 1 year old and a 24-year-old wife, and needed to figure out how to make money. And my dad was an insurance agent, and I saw him go from selling insurance. He was house to house, just old school way, direct mail, calling people out of the phone book, all that kind of stuff. And I saw him go from, like, 25,000 a year as a carpet salesman at Sears to 100,000, then up to 200,000. It took him a couple of decades to do that, but I was able to witness it. So when I got out, I was like, I'm going to try insurance sales, but I still wasn't excited about it. I was just like, I got to do something, and it was, that's all I knew. It was Marine Corps. And I knew most of the jobs that I had before the military weren't going to pay the bills. They were too small of hourly wages. So I get out and sell insurance, and I fell in love with it, man, because there was just something about those conversations where someone agreed to, like, you talk to them with information you were learning from reading books and taking insurance courses and creating my binder full of rate sheets and all that. And then they agreed to buy a product from me. I got a high from it. It was like, holy crap, like, I'm able to help someone and make money. And it was like this. So it was to me, I call it a gateway drug, because it was the first time that I felt this great sense of purpose and, like, this dopamine from something that was good for me. You obviously feel dopamine from other things that aren't good for you, but I felt it now from something that was only beneficial. And it was the gateway drug. And I think that that's like weed, right? Weed's the gateway drug.
what they say. Yeah.
The next drug was the bad stuff. I was getting on pills. That was marketing for me. That opened up a whole nother level. And then it was biz ops and learning team management and culture and all of that, and just scaling and stacking time, like we were talking about before we went on here. It was it was always like productivity, sales, and then once we were able to establish a good routine there, it was marketing, shorten the prospecting cycle. Then it was still I'd fill my time back up. So it's like let's say I had 10 hours in a day I'm working, and if I spent in the beginning 9 of that prospecting and an hour getting a sale total, and then it was like, how could I be more productive? Well, one of the best ways to be more productive is to quit spending so much time prospecting, but you had to replace it with something. Marketing replaced it. I got to the point where I was spending 9 hours a day sitting there actually selling. Well, then that's great, I can sell a ton, but now what's next? Because I think fall in love with the idea of scaling and stacking your time. And so then it was, I have to get more people. Well, how do I get more people? Who wants to work for me? Nobody wants to work for you in the beginning because it's
Yeah.
just you. So, but you can you can work through those first few employees and build that core unit up. And then eventually it's easy to hire because I have that question all the time. People like, how do you hire people? And it's like, well, how I hire people now is I'm actually turning people away. In the beginning, it was like, I had to sell them on the opportunity, Um, anyway, I'm
You've
getting
got
ahead.
enough status behind you now. People just want to be in proximity, which is it's a good problem to have. I think I wanted to touch on your marketing stuff. Why is our industry so fucked, man? Why does no one want to learn this stuff? Why do you if you had to put your opinion to it?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, I, and I may be off on this, but I've used this acronym before: FIRE, finance, insurance, and real estate. It's kind of the industries that people that you know that aren't doctors or lawyers or engineers that want to have something better than that mundane, median lifestyle end up in those industries: finance, insurance, and real estate. And insurance and real estate are, and I'm not talking about real estate investing as much as like real estate sales, insurance
Sales.
sales. They're fragmented. They're 1099s. They're people that are salespeople, but they're technically miniature business. And and so they'll often, some of them won't think of themselves like a business. Some of them will think of themselves like a business, but they don't really understand at all what it means to be a business. And so they just don't treat it that way. And they go out and they beat the streets, the hard way. Even the ones that make some money think, oh, now this is the money that I have to live on. But a business, like if you're looking at somebody, let's say somebody comes out of, you know, some Harvard MBA with a business idea. When they come out, they'll go out and get, angel investors or private equity or something, and they'll say, we're not going to make money for years.
Yeah, well, we're just gonna eat shit for a decade, and then we'll finally turn a profit.
And that's, and it's not, neither one of those is bad or good, but like the most pure version is like, how do I bootstrap it like the insurance agents? I have a lot of respect for the insurance agents that bootstrap it, but how do I bootstrap it, but then think like the Harvard MBA after I've developed it and become my own private equity, you know? And not that you shouldn't go eventually and have an investor. I mean, if you have an idea that's scalable, like go get the investors and scale it. But like you can be your own investor. Like you can go out and bootstrap it and make the money. Cool thing about Medicare and health insurance is, there's so much residual that if you plan, like when I started, it was like living off the first year commission. Well, then, I look up and a few years in, I got all this residual money coming in, but I was used to living off the first year margin. And so since I was used to living off the first year margin, I wasn't really living off that much. And all of a sudden my renewals were more than I was living off of. And I was able to take that and turn it into the basis for beginning to hire and scale out of my own prison, and so many people get caught in that prison because they acclimate to what they're making, or they'll like work for those 3 years, get the residual built up, and then they're like, well, now I don't have to sell, I got residual. No, continue to sell, use the residual to build yourself out of the sales. But like,
I caught myself doing that early on. My first 9 months in here, I wrote like 364,000. I wish I would have went with Medicare and health insurance. I didn't know anything about it. The dude just found him on ZipRecruiter. He says you can make 100,000 a year. It's like 100,000. It's like me, a broke Kentucky kid. Can you imagine that? Like I just want to pay my bills and work from home, hang out with the dog. So I ended
yeah,
up bringing home out of that a little over a quarter million, bought a new truck, paid off a whole bunch of shit. And I was like, I should probably learn how to double or triple this. Next year, wrote a bunch. Then I got contract rescind. some of these IMOs do the shit they do. It's dirtier than politicians. I honestly want to fight them, but
Yeah.
a whole bunch of shit happened and started launching coaching programs and all that and made the first million. And then it's like, okay, what's after this now? How do I get it to 10? And I don't see anything offered like that as far as the training and stuff. Like I've seen you do your Medicare con, Joshua Youngs, he has his what is it, the Medicare Machine Factory? Because he's underneath you now, isn't he?
Yeah. We were
Yeah,
partners. So
Joshua's a good dude. I like him a lot. And he's funny.
crushing, man.
He's funny.
He's wild. I called him, he's who I was referring to as the Jake Paul of Medicare.
Oh God.
And somebody thought I was talking about myself. I'm like, no, he's the Jake Paul. I'm the Logan Paul. Like I'm now the like the mundane, mild version. You know, he's out there, but he's crushing, man. He had a guy on his team hit 500 Medicare apps in AEP today. So
Jesus Christ. And he's crushed it for what, the last 3 or 4 years. He's especially after, what did he have? A stroke or a heart attack?
yeah, heart attack in the middle of
Yeah.
AEP last year.
Yeah. And
That's my guy is, man. He's
back to work.
yeah, but yeah, he was back like I think a week later he was back out. But no, it's you know, so same like what you were saying. You know, you make a 250,000, and then and it can be a mental issue because it is difficult to begin to duplicate and build yourself out, and most people just get fixated on that amount of money. So I'll tell you this story. So we recruit brokers, but we also have LOA career agents that have a salary plus commission. And that's kind of what we started doing first. So I got this guy, he's one of my sales managers now. He's one of my top LOAs of all time, probably is the top of all time that we've had. His name's Holt Rushing. And a lot of people have seen him out there. He goes to a lot of our stuff. Great guy. One of my good friends now. And Holt was a basketball coach and a teacher. And he was probably making, I'd say 40,000 a year or something like that, 38, 40 before, and was struggling, right? Um, I would assume he's closer to 200,000 now. And, with 100% profit, and there's no expenses. We pay for his licenses, we pay for marketing. If he travels somewhere, we pay for travel, like got some trips on top of that, everything. So he's got a great gig, right? But Holt would still come back to me sometimes and say, I just want to make sure this opportunity is going to be here for the long haul because I keep getting offered these coaching jobs again, making the same amount. And I told him, I was like, Holt, if this job was here for 3 more years at 200,000, that's 4 or 5 times, that's 5 times what you're making every year. So if you did this for 3 years, you would have made 15 years of your income there. So yes, this is going to be around, but even if it was only around for 3 years, you made 15 years. So to take that job for the security of 40, but some people think that way. Um, and so I had to explain that. And he's like, man, I never thought about it. And I was like, people just don't think about it that way. And I'm going to pause for just a second because I'm on a gallon of water a day diet. And I
Yeah,
have
you're good. Go potty.
yes.
Oh man.
Yeah. Sorry, man. Now I've been doing this gallon of water thing and it is,
Good. You ever had a Kangen water machine? I love mine.
we have two of them, man. I have one at the house and one at the office.
Yeah, they're awesome. Have you ever chugged it really quick and got one of those, like you feel it going up your like spinal cord, kind of get you high?
Yeah, I've and I honestly do this thing with I got the hydrogenator that Gary Brecka was using, and then
Yeah.
um I went to 10x, what was it, 10x it was
10X Health.
I went to 10X Stages event and he spoke at part of it and he made everybody get into this breathing exercise that I do now. It's supposed to make you a quarter inch taller. And because it just it just adds the oxygen back into your spine or whatever. And it's like a stretch and a breathing exercise. Anyway,
Decompression. Yeah, that's what
yeah.
sleeping on the floor does.
Yeah. But he did that. And I got this like euphoric high from that breathing exercise. And so now I love doing it because it makes you feel super clear and a little high for real.
Yeah, it's all that CO2. You start opening everything up. I've got some, you're probably into a little bit of the biohacking stuff. I got some like jar. It's like a cup with a straw that Russians use because American science, you can't trust anything our fucking doctors say.
Oh
So
no, no.
it's like a Russian breathing device or something, but it's Jesus Christ. After talking all day,
I
that
used to think liberals were skeptics, but now that Trump is appointing all the people that you would have thought that independent people would have been okay with back in the day, all of a sudden they've become the people that are like, oh yeah, the FDA, no, we should completely trust them. RFK is bad. What are you talking about? Like, I don't understand it. Like, until he endorsed Trump, like they probably were like, no, he's pretty good about that stuff. But now that it's like, this is how you flip parties is like take the things that they care about. And if a Republican does them, now it's like, oh, well, never mind. I don't believe in that anymore.
yeah, now
Because
now it's bad.
I can't possibly agree with anything that they do.
Politics are funny. Have you studied much on like Edward Bernays? Like what kind of fields of
I'm more of like, so my biggest thing in politics, I started more on like economics. So I was a big, reading, there was a period where I actually, yes, Thomas Sowell. I
if
looked that
you
up.
are an insurance agent and you haven't read this damn book, just go get it.
Yeah. It's
I,
just,
I'm
it's
I reread
great.
it every year.
Yeah, Thomas Sowell, Basic Economics, like the Milton Friedman stuff. But I actually, what happened was I to just so people know, like I didn't completely just read things to reaffirm my cognitive bias. I wondered if there's something I was missing. So there was a period where I would like join Marxist Facebook groups and like try to read the Communist Manifesto and like stuff like that because I wanted to, not that I wanted to agree with them, but I was trying to like decide like am I missing something, like I'm not like I don't want to be so arrogant that I feel like I know everything, so I like got to it and then I was in this group and these like super like Marxists because I know that they're most liberals I think are dumb but like but there are some that I think are coming from a place of like an intellectual place, so I'm like if you're a smart liberal, smart economic liberal. Who is that like person? Like the Democrat that's economically liberal, like, and so that you find them, they're mostly like, in the Democratic Socialist or Marxist type people. So I joined these groups and was listening to them. And man, the ones that are the smartest get to the point where they're defending Stalin and they're like, they act like Joseph Stalin was on the right track. And and I'm like, and I remember one of them said like, he was stopped too soon. I was like, yeah, maybe if he killed 10 or 20 million more people, we would have achieved utopia in communism. But that they really were like that. And so and I actually got driven to Thomas Sowell and Milton Friedman through those because they would talk bad about them and I'd read them and I was like, it's not cognitive bias. I've read all of this stuff and I just wholly believe that that's the way the economy works, is that you can't predict the needs for goods and services at a macro level. Like only capitalism can do that. And then I had this friend that told me, he said, like, when you're getting into politics, like, you know, first you have to establish that no economic or governmental system will create utopia. It doesn't exist. There is no perfect world. Bad things are going to happen to people regardless. What's the system that makes it as infrequent as possible and as and that's to me it's capitalism. It's like it's
Yeah,
the one, it's merit based. It's not, it's yes, there are people that are undeserving under a capitalist society that are still going to experience hardship. I mean, kids are going to get cancer and you're going to have a car wreck and you're going to bet on a product that doesn't pan out and all that. But typically the people that keep showing up, working hard, trying the most in capitalist societies are going to do better. And, and so most of the people that are suffering capitalism, the majority of them, it's self-induced suffering. It's, I didn't work hard enough. I didn't try enough times, or I expect the system to take care of me. And we don't really have a capitalist system. It's fake. It's a socialist capitalist hybrid. Even Medicare Advantage is that. So like I participate in the market. Of course, it's the market I live in. It's kind of like how Ayn Rand wrote Atlas Shrugged, and she gets, criticized for taking Social Security and Medicare when she retired. And it's like, well, she paid into it. So even though she's vehemently opposed to the idea of it, she was forced at gunpoint, because that's what a law is, to pay into it. So of course she should take it. It's her money.
Yeah, Ayn Rand has some really interesting philosophy, and I just took it at face value when I read it the first couple of times. But as you start going through Aristotle, Plato, Cynic, you start entertaining all these different information sources, even current day, I guess you would call them gurus, Blair Warren, Christopher Hitchens.
Mhm.
You want to learn to debate or piss people off in arguments. I can't think of any better person to study than Christopher Hitchens. Um, his ability to turn a phrase or make a point, it's unparalleled. But you went back, you said cognitive bias a while ago, and I think that's what causes most of this industry's problems. It's that morality filter. It's how we judge and perceive people that, oh, they're crazy. It's like, what if the person who blew up a building was a sane human just like you and I?
Yeah.
And it just those types of debate, they'll have you questioning stuff, but I think
Yeah.
it's that morality filter that gets in the way. I really do.
Yeah. No, I think that, I mean, I even see it on topics as small as like whatever they believe is a limit, the limiting belief or the belief lid, right? Like like when Joshua Youngs, for instance, goes and talks about writing tons of apps, it immediately turns into, you can't be compliant, you can't do this. And what they're doing is they're putting the way that they see it done on a time frame and then they're like, this doesn't compute. And it's like, well, maybe it's not the same way. Maybe there's a different process. Maybe he's created a filtration process where by the time that agent's talking to him, it's technically only 15 or 20 minutes presentations, and he's able to stack them up where there's no rebound rate. There's no getting people on the phone. He's in a prospect rich environment. There's so many that he can't even possibly get to all the prospects. But they wouldn't know that unless they seen it. If they started working in here first, their lid would be higher. Now, I mean, Josh still throws up some ideas of some numbers where I'm like, dang, that's pushing the envelope. But it's all like, but I used to be the guy that we would put up the numbers of LOAs we had, and they didn't understand. These guys aren't prospecting all day long. I mean, they might be a little bit, but like for the most part, all day long, they're talking to people that we've put in front of them through marketing. And they've been part of it too. They're the tip of the spear. But it's a year-long process. But that limiting belief, that cognitive like prison they put themselves in of like, it can't be any better than this. And it also is that thing that maybe keeps them sane by keeping them thinking, I'm doing the best I can. This is as good as it gets. There's no, and it keeps them from, because once they realize or believe that there's something better, it's almost impossible for most people to not pursue it or desire.
Yeah, pain cuts twice as deep when you know the opposite pleasure. But it's these people, they'll see what Josh is doing, they'll see what you have built, what you have done, and they'll say, he must have cheated because there's no way I could be wrong about this. They would have to admit they are wrong to admit that you are right. It's a psychological death, dude. The
It's
brain
weird
is
because
crazy.
I don't know if the Marine Corps helped with this, or it was the way, I had a hard ass, dad that was a very, what do you call it? Constructive criticism believer, which really was just criticism. But,
Shine the
um,
damn flashlight in the right. Yeah,
yeah, but I think maybe like based on that and then going to the Marine Corps where it's very criticism heavy, like I was always, so like when I would see people that would say they were doing something, I'd be like, oh man, if they can do that, I can do that. And I've learned that sometimes some people are full of shit. but it was never my first belief that they were full of shit. My first belief was, wow, that what are they doing? What can I learn from what they're doing? It was never like they're full of shit. Like I would rather be optimistic and almost like deer in the headlights, happy about what everybody's doing, and then find out the opposite than to be such a cynic that I never even explore any new opportunity because I believe everything is fake. Like that's a level of cynicism that keeps you. I call it it's a intellectual cynicism ceiling where you're like you are intelligent, but your intelligence is causing you to be so cynical that you never actually reach any level of like and sometimes it's chalks down to like personality types, like your high C on the disc assessment type people can be so overly analytical that it's difficult to even accomplish anything great because they need too much information and then they weed out the opportunity way before where a high D person doesn't know, like, I don't need any information, let's go. And that means they might fail hard, but typically they're going to have the resolve to get up and try again. And eventually you're going to wake up and this guy that you think is an idiot is making way more money than you, living a life you want to live. And you're just like, what's a great illustration of this? Have you ever seen the movie Envy with Jack Black and Ben
Yes.
Stiller? So Jack Black he would be like an I on the disc assessment. He's like party dreamer, he's like, and he tells Ben Stiller, who would be a C, I'm gonna have this job, I'm gonna get my 401k, I'm gonna do it, the right way. And, and he creates a aerosol can called Vaporize. And he tells Ben Stiller about this idea. I'm going to spray something on dog shit and it's going to disappear. It's going to be called Vaporize. And Ben Stiller's like, you're an idiot. I'm just stupid. And he does it and it works. And then he becomes like filthy rich. And, the whole movie's kind of centered around Ben Stiller then being like super envious and jealous of like this lifestyle. Like he makes like a dog print house, like across the street from Ben Stiller. It's a great movie, completely underrated. But the concept is there. It's like that happens so often to like this cynic person that then looks at other people. And it's like you technically have the mind, if you're very analytical, to do better than them, but you just have to let go of that bullshit filter and bring it down. Because thing is, you're probably right 80% of the time with your bullshit meter, but it's the 20% that you're wrong that's keeping you from all the prosperity.
Speaking of prosperity, something that the cynics would disagree with you and me on. It's like money doesn't buy happiness, and money. It's like money's root of all evil. First off, you're going to quote it in its proper context. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. That shit drives me insane. And it's all types, all manners, all kinds. It's not every single solitary. So I've before we got on here, I was looking around some of the places you've traveled with your family. Absolutely beautiful. What kind of speak on some of that because it's always the people who don't have money. Money will never make you happy. It's like, how would you fucking know? You don't have any. You don't have
Yeah.
any. How would you know?
Yeah.
So
Well,
speak on your experiences.
yeah. So I would say, and I think, the statement that I've said sums it up a little bit is, stuff sucks, experiences are better. And so there's definitely things that you think money will buy that will have some kind of gratification, that the gratification of that is not as big as you think it would be, right? Um, but it's more of like, first of all, so many people do this thing like start with why, and I think some people manufacture a why. I would say start with money and then develop a why. Find your why because you might not know your why. Don't make up a fake why just to have a why. But like in our process, like, at first it was selling because I had to take care of my family. So I guess my family was why, but it was money to take care of my family. Then you'd make a little more money. Then it was the process. It was like, oh, I like this. Now it's the marketing. I like marketing. Then it was you building a team and you see your team win and you'd help somebody else make money, that more money than they ever thought they were going to make. And there would be such a reward in that. And so the whys can shift over time, right? I mean, at the core, yes, your family's always there, right? But it's and the money buying happiness. Like if you think of it as like being rich or poor, don't think of it like that. What about that feeling when you have a kid and your wife's like, oh, Jackson needs new shoes, and you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, we're gonna go broke this month, you
Yep.
know. What if you had enough money to never have to worry about that again? I mean, that's step one. Like that's where most divorces come from is money issues. And that starts with I want to go on a date like right now, if we wanted to eat out steak dinners twice a day for the rest of my life, every day, I don't have, that's fine. If we want new shoes, who gives a shit? If we want to go on vacation, okay, great. Where do you want to go? That is like, it's like we live in a world where there's oxygen and there's water and there's sunlight and there's exercise and there's all these things that I need. And money is one of them. And people just, you can live without it, but you don't have access to the world without it. And so at some point, in my opinion, yeah, I could have a whole bunch of money and my kid can get leukemia and it's going to crush me.
Yep.
That's a valid point. But I can tell you that I could have no money and my kid can get leukemia and it's going to be a lot fucking worse.
You
So
can't afford fucking treatment. It's
yeah. So I don't think that no money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure makes it a lot easier.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I know
I
plenty of
forget who
people
said
that,
it. It puts a nice down payment on it.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Puts a nice down payment on it. I think I've heard Grant talk about it and Daniel Tosh. These are my two favorite takes on it. But Daniel Tosh's is pretty funny. He's like, it'll buy a jet ski, and I've never seen anybody
Sat on a jet ski.
on a jet ski. So, and Chris Jansen has a song called "Buy Me a Boat." And it says, "Wish I had a rich uncle that would kick the bucket." And he says something about, I know everybody says money can't buy happiness, but it can buy me a boat and it can buy me a truck to pull it. And it can buy me a Yeti
Yeti
110
110.
ice down with some
Yeah,
silver
silver
bullets.
bullets. Yeah.
So I think
It's the
it,
experience. It goes right back to the experience, but not like having problems is one thing. Having problems when you're broke is a whole nother set of it. And I think what you said a while ago. So if you guys watching this don't pick up Justin's like mental syntax, look how massively towards he is. Like towards motivation. It's not away from when people have their why is their, I think a why is running away from something. I'm going to do what feels good.
mhm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that there's a lot of good reading and good ideas in the world, and sometimes people try to implement. I think start with why is one of those. It's a great concept, but so many people then manufacture the why. Like let's give you an example. Let's say I'm starting a Medicare agency and my why is, and there'll be somebody out there that watches this because I'll share it. I know, and there'll be a Medicare agent that somewhere on their wall is because of the customer or because of
Oh, don't give me that shit.
the medic, because every Medicare beneficiary does it. That is a slogan
No, I
for
want
the
to do it because I want to make money.
I have to have something that I want. And if you're torn about the idea of saying money, make it because I don't want to not be able to afford something that my kids want. Because if later on I have a grandchild that is born with Tay Sachs and needs a specialist in Turkey, that I have no problem buying first class tickets for the whole family and putting us up in hotels there for months while we do, like the level of things that I can handle now, and to be frank, I get addicted. The reason I keep going is I'm addicted to the distance between potential problems in my family. And the only factor I have that I can control is health and wealth. Like it's what, how healthy am I, which means gives me some level of capability, my brain function, my body, all that, and my wealth, how much money. That's the only two things I can control. I mean, I can be nice and sweet to everybody and try to maintain my relationships, but like there's so many uncontrollable concepts in the world. I can only control health and wealth. So if you want to admit, like, I don't want to control anything. I don't care. That's great, but don't make it about like being a better person. It's really just a weakness, clause, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't. The seemingly out of nowhere altruistic reason why it's like, no, mother, you're doing
It's
this for
cop
your
out.
family because you can't afford to do anything for your family, and that's what you're running from.
Yeah. Well,
Like
and a
even
lot
the
of
way you
people will
framed it,
say,
it's towards, which I
a lot of
like.
these people, a lot of these people will say, and this is my least favorite, is it's like right now I'm putting out like people are calling me all the time like, man, you're doing so much right now. You sold half the business and you're doing more now. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm not. I What's happened is I've worked really hard to get to a point where all I have to do is put out content and do a couple of strategy meetings and give Bart and giving marching orders, you know. But a lot of people on the time argument, they're like, well, I want to spend time with my kids. I want to do this. But if I audited the days of the people that say this, guarantee you they're binging Netflix more than me. And let's just think about a day. If I have 24 hours, let's say I sleep 8 hours. Hell,
16 left.
let's say I have eight, I got 16 left. Let's say I work 10. Okay, now I got what, six left. Okay, let's say am I spending 6 hours hanging out with my family? Probably
Your
not.
family doesn't want to. If
They
I
don't want to hang out with you because
anything
they're
about
tough.
kids, I'd hang out with my cousin. I'd watch my cousin like, all right, mom, I've had enough of you after like 30 minutes. I'm like,
Right.
thank
Like
you for being
your
honest.
your kids might want you for an hour. Now you got 5 hours. Your wife might want you for an hour. Probably not.
7 minutes and she's like, fuck out of here. I've got stuff to do.
Exactly. Exactly. And so like where is all this time? There's like people like there's not enough hours in the day. There is, but most people are wasting them. And that's on the phone. And
Hey,
that's
go pull up your screen usage right now. If it's above like an hour, like you have nothing to complain about.
right. So when you're like this idea of like you're working so much, you're not spending time. Like, what are you talking about?
What are you working on?
I could work 12 hours a day, sleep eight, and I still got time to hang out with my family every day. And that's 7 days a week. And most people are working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you know. And so they have, but they're probably spending a weekend with 8 hours on Netflix or, or TikTok every day. So like, anyway, I just think that it is a cop out. And it's not that they don't even realize they're doing it, subconscious. They're trying to justify why, well, I don't want to be Justin Brock because, I'm just not going to workaholic like that. I'm a better husband and father. All right, Ben,
Okay.
let's come and say, I bet you I spend more time with my kids than you do. Guess
Yeah.
what? My kids come to the office every day with me and are homeschooled with me every day. So great. They're
We'll,
here.
we'll do a happiness test on the children. So
Yeah.
that's the
I'm
funny
telling
thing
you,
about the brain. It like I don't want to do this. I want to. When people tell me they want to do something, you are admitting to yourself that you are not that. I want to
yeah.
be rich. That tells me you are not rich. When you can start reading the symbolic language, or I don't, Justin, if I tell you don't think of a blue tree, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Blue tree.
So when you guys are out there telling yourselves, I don't want to do what Justin does, all your brain hears is do what Justin does.
Yeah.
I don't know why this shit isn't taught in this industry very much, and we got a lot of bad actors over here, so it's hilarious. I do want to. What are some of the favorite places you guys have been to?
Oh man. Hands down, we chartered a yacht and went from Naples down to Positano, Italy, and Capri, and we went to Greece afterwards and Santorini. But the best part of that was Positano, Italy. Like that was great. We went to Bora Bora. We've done like French Polynesia. So you go to Papeete, Tahiti, and then we took a boat um, to Taha and then Bora Bora and then Maria. And Maria was actually one of my favorite places. We've done Turks and Caicos a couple of times. Banff, Canada was beautiful. We're actually looking, I think we're going back there in June this year with Advisors Excel on their trip. The insurance industry has given us a lot of trips too, and then we'll piggyback off of them. So like the yacht charter that we did in Italy and Greece was off the back of an AE trip to Rome we took this summer. And with Bankers Fidelity, we're actually going to Buenos Aires in March. So we'll be in Argentina and we'll piggyback off of that and go down to Patagonia. So like it's cool. The insurance, like they're paying for part of it, so it's like
Yeah.
my piggyback off of it, and then you can write off a lot of the additional expense too.
Do you think right now is still a good time to join the insurance industry? Like for someone who's working a factory job, or even the people that like your book's kind of going after, people after they get out of the service, is insurance still a viable option in your
Yeah.
opinion?
I've been telling people though, you can make $1 billion selling bubble gum. Like it's all about scale and whatever you want to do. So like you know, what vehicle you use, I would say the biggest mistake people are making is trying to choose a vertical based on passion. The passion to me is not the product. I'm not saying there aren't some people like, I think Elon Musk with SpaceX and Tesla, those are passion products and he's done very well. And those are anomalies. Facebook, these are anomalies where a passion product turns into that. But like if you look at like Jeff Bezos, was Jeff Bezos's his product is Amazon. The product isn't Chinese trinkets, or books. It's Amazon, right? With insurance agency, like my product isn't Medicare Advantage. Like that's not what I care about, or Medicare supplements or ancillary health. The product for me is BBI and our team and how many agents we can help, how many consumers we can help. But like seeing the actual team growth, the part that I actually enjoy. And I guarantee you, if you look at any of these guys, one of the most fulfilling aspects of what they do is if I go into my sales floor right now and I'm watching these people like who were car salesmen or worked in factories, or they worked in they were basketball coaches, or they were in retail store management or something like that, and you're seeing them make more money in an environment that's better and creating a business like that. It doesn't matter to me as much what the business does. It has to make money. So that's paramount, because they're not making money. It can't support any of the people that are in it. The only people that can get away with that are governments.
Yeah, and
I don't
none
know
of
how they
yours
get
are
away with it.
government.
Yeah. So, but they're borrowing from future generations. Businesses they can't do that. They have to make money. So we have to make money. But yeah, I think it's a good time to get into the insurance industry? Yes, I believe that. I do believe the Trump administration is going to bring on a deregulatory environment, and I think that that's going to create opportunity. I think we probably shed a few agents over the last couple of years, and probably wasn't growing the last 2 years of the Biden administration, because there were people that I was turning away, or I was telling they were new and they had startup money. And I was like, hey, go to life insurance over Medicare right now, because there's final rules with CMS we don't know what's going to happen. But that got stayed even before Trump got elected. And then we'll enter a deregulatory environment. And I mean, you guys can probably tell how I feel about politics, but it doesn't really matter how you feel about politics. It is a deregulatory environment. Even if you thought that was bad, it's still good from a sales organization, because I don't have as much red tape between me and the customer anymore, or won't. So yeah, it's good, but I think it'll grow too, so it'll get more competitive. This is the thing: is deregulation increases
Competition.
competition, and I actually think the competition does a better job at weeding out the bad actors than the regulation does.
I think it does. The worst thing you can have happen, like I had no competition in one area. I had some really smashing results with a webinar. So I took some of Jason Fladlin and Russell Brunson's stuff, and I started selling on webinars over 100 policies at a time for people. I was
Yeah,
like, okay, I could do. Some dude and two of his downlines from FFL wrote like $73,000 between 9 and 5 p.m. one day. Never crossed 10,000 before that. So I was like,
yeah,
I'm gonna fucking launch this to agency owners, and people were like, that's not real, that's illegal, you can't do that. I was like, do you not understand what I'm giving you?
yeah.
Like, are you dumb? And
It's
so I,
you're one-to-one salespeople not understanding one to many. I mean, we know Russell Brunson got on stage at Grant Cardone's event several years ago and
yeah,
made
million.
$3 million in 30 minutes.
3.2 million. Then the funnel hacking live after that. I heard he did like 15 million.
Yeah,
But
he probably
it's
he probably did
stupid.
that.
Stupid.
But it's all about he's a master at crafting the pitch, crafting the hype. I've been in some of these places that create table rush effect, and Some of
they're
these
fun.
guys are masters. I mean, I was at one where Marshall Silver did it. Doesn't matter how you feel about Marshall. I know Marshall. I've been to his house. On stage, he's like this character. In person, he's much more down to earth. But you know, he has a master pitch, and if he gets to a new audience that's never seen him before, you can bet your ass, like, you know, a couple hundred of them are going to get up and give him, you know, a couple grand right there. It's crazy.
Yeah, I used for the last year, that's all I really focused on. I ended up doing like a $250,000 day through webinars. It's like I was way ahead of the insurance industry. It's like shit like that. So it just blows my mind because I think the competition's good. The last thing you want is no competition. Like if no one's done it, if no one's made money from it, the
Yeah,
scariest thing I can tell myself now is no one's done this before. It's like this is probably going to go terrible.
yeah,
It's-
yeah.
It,
But what's funny
competition's
is
good.
if you're um, first or very early to something, it, you know, typically what I've seen, it has the most upside.
Yeah, if it does
but
work,
but it's more
absolutely.
risky because there's probably things that you haven't thought of yet. You know, there's barriers, but like, yeah, like even with certain marketing, you know, our biggest marketing wins were stuff that no one else had done yet, or that almost no one had done. Very few people had done it. You know, but then, you know, it's impossible to predict the business off of that because, you know, and this is a Russell Brunson phrase. I think he quoted somebody else when I first heard him say it, but marketers ruin everything. So if you get early to
Sounds like
something
us.
and it's working really, really well, eventually marketers will come and
I'll
they'll
copy
ruin it.
it.
So you have to like get it. Like, I give you an example. I mean, the Medicare webinar, the Medicare T65 webinar, when Lustig, so first people to really do it were Josh Lustig and Marvin Music, and uh, then so many people have done it now, you know, like that. Not that it doesn't work, it still works, but you might have to get more creative. And what's crazy about the copycats versus the original people have a process that they create from
First
scratch.
principles. Yeah, it's
And
first
then
principles.
the copycats are doing exactly what they do. And so every time one copies it, you get a little bit worse. So what I tell people is like, don't think this is when they'll come in and be like, oh, Facebook doesn't work anymore. That's not it. You're doing the exact same thing. Facebook, that's like saying TV doesn't work. TV ads don't work or radio. That's just attention. And, you know, we were just watching this, our whole marketing team, I had them watching this lesson by, what's his name? You'll know him. Stubby, how do you say his name? Guy from Australia, does marketing content. Anyway,
Savory Subi or
yeah, let me see, right here it
Savory
is.
Subri.
Yeah,
Sell
yeah,
like crazy, dude. Yeah.
No
yeah.
one's
Now that guy, Saber Subi, yeah. So, you know, he was talking a lot about, you know, that your competition are not people that are competing you in your space. Your competition is Netflix. Your competition is TikTok. Your competition, it's who's taking the attention away. And so now it's like he's talking about how competitive it is to get attention. And automatically everyone's trained to say, oh, sponsored ad. So the more it looks like an ad, like, so he's talking about don't talk about your agency at all. Don't talk about what you do at all. Don't talk about any of that. Like everything is about keeping the attention long enough, getting likes, getting traction. And that's whether it's a paid ad or not. So there's a content game, and there's a paid ad game. But the, you know, the concept now, long form content, like what we're doing right now, is a little bit different. So long form content, you know, I don't need a million views on that. I need 500, the right people, the right 500 people to watch it, you know, that I added value to, and we built rapport through that long form content. So that's a very different type of strategy. It's great if it goes viral, but long form is more about watch time and, you know, that kind of stuff. But when you're looking at the short form or paid ads, it's this attention thing. So I think that's something that people are not understanding enough. When you're looking at like, oh, Facebook doesn't work, or the webinar is not working anymore, or whatever. No, they're seeing your ad. So like if the ad strategy that works right now is because psychologically that's a trend, or that's a thing that's working, right? Or we figured something out that works. Now everybody copies that trend, and then human beings get numb to that concept
Once
again.
they become aware of the sales process, they tune it out.
Yeah. And you have to create
It's
an entire new one,
guys, go read this and realize this applies to attention as well. What's the like main mechanism of attention? Contrast. So what stands out? Because that's like survival mechanism. If you don't know the difference between bear tracks and chicken tracks in the woods, one's going to result in living, the other one's going to result in being in a stomach and dead. So it's like
Yeah.
go read that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, there's certainly a supply and demand on attention, and the demand. So here's another thing he said is I can't remember what the amount of money spent on I don't know, it was social media or digital advertising this year. It was like I don't remember if he was saying the U.S. or worldwide, but it was over $1 trillion, and it was going to increase in the next year by 10%.
I don't
Like how
doubt that.
going to be spent. And so that's, you're talking about $100 billion in additional ad spend entering the market. Facebook is putting out articles saying that they're running out of places to show ads. That doesn't mean it's not working. It means that you have to be more attractive in some way.
Well, it's kind of like when you go into emerging markets. If I take a Coke to another country, they know what the Coke is, even if they can't say it in the native tongue or whatever. They know what Coke is. So Facebook, it's pretty much got everybody. We have everybody in the same place. Now we're all fighting for the attention. There's no new blood coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you guys are fighting against. What goes back to that organic versus paid ads thing. Do you want to take 10 years like a startup would and just keep losing your ass? And here's what happens when you try to sell to people who have never paid you anything is they're like, huh? It's like, this doesn't feel right. It's always been free compared to if I can just pay to acquire a customer.
Yep.
Way better. Now the whole relationship's transactional.
When it's predictable. There's a
Well, yeah, you
predictable.
just keep reinforcing that initial decision to buy. Here's another reason to do that behavior. Here's another reason to do that behavior.
Yeah.
You're trying to teach
Like,
organic people
well,
completely new behaviors.
The Medicare, like we get agents and we get agents like event fields and things like that on the agent marketing side a lot through organic. But when it comes to Medicare beneficiaries, very low. I mean, you get them through referrals.
Yeah.
You get them through a little bit of organic search, but for the most part, if you're going to write anything sizable, or you're going to hire LOAs, or you're going to have more agents that are dependent on lead flow, it's paid. It's not, you can't organic. Like I'll have people that like built their entire book off of like food pantries. And then they're like, I want an LOA. I'm like, good luck training an LOA how to whore themselves out to food pantries for the next 3 years to make any money. It's bullshit. Plus they should not be assigning their commissions to you if they have to do that. They should be a broker themselves. Like that's the whole point of like, I did a thing with Jeff Root yesterday, and we were talking about, LOA. LOA gets a bad rap, and part of it's because people are putting people LOA that are covering and getting their own leads. That's not what an LOA is for. It's made for, not to go down that rabbit hole too much, but like, this idea of like when they're saying, okay, Justin, I'll get an LOA. And then they're like, I'm going to train them to do what I do. No, you need to learn how to advertise, because if you can't advertise, then you shouldn't have an LOA.
If you cannot talk to a stranger and get them to want to give you money, that's the funny thing about ads is like the reason your ads and shit aren't working is because you're fighting where most of the competition is. If we looked at a line, like a checkout line, Facebook's going to show the people closest to the checkout, which means they're worth more. And so I'd rather pay for people way back here who are completely unaware of the product or the problem that they have, because no one's fighting for these people. And so as long as you can make them aware they have a problem, the brain is primed to look for a solution.
We have a direct mail strategy where we're mailing.
I watched some of your old YouTube videos a couple of years ago. You were playing around on ClickFunnels Classic. I was like, huh, what's this? And that's around the time when I was starting off all this shit. I was like, okay, like someone actually is doing something right in the industry.
Yeah. So we were doing, we developed a direct mail strategy based on that same concept of like the like who's closest to the checkout line, right? And we wanted the people that are haven't even, so like you're doing T65 marketing. Everybody's like, I want the guy 3 months out, Well, everybody does. So they're all advertising to that guy. And they're like, okay, I want the guy 6 months out because I can just write him med sup. So I go middle class 6 months out, I can write him med sup. Yeah, but everybody adapted to that. So they're doing that too. What are they not doing? Marketing to the people that they can't help today. 8 months out.
1 year, 2 years, three
Yeah.
years.
And if you can market, and if you could market, and most people, so like year before when Obamacare first came out, there was a year where they had commissions and then it kind of went away. Like there was an implosion, and then Ambetter kind of stayed around, and there was still an ACA market, but most people weren't making commissions. So nobody was advertising it. It's funny because over like the last couple of years, like ACO went rampant and people were advertising, and they're like, hey, join my thing where you can, sign people up without ever talking to them and all this stuff. Right. That was like, everybody was marketing that. We were writing ACA when it was commissionless because I was marketing to 63 and 64-year-olds for ACA. We'd enroll them in Ambetter plans for free, or we'd write them a healthcare sharing ministry if they didn't qualify for a good subsidy, like MediShare would make like a 10% commission or 15 or whatever it was. And then we would cross-sell them ancillary benefits. That's where we'd make our money first, like cancer policies, dental, maybe a little life, that kind of stuff. And then we'd have this huge pipeline of med subs because they'd be turning 65, or Medicare Advantage plans, they'd be turning 65 soon. And so then we were still marketing and getting Medicare clients, but I was doing most of my marketing in that market. And then I would run dental ads to 64-year-olds that were 6 months out. So everybody else is advertising Medicare. I'm just advertising dental. Eventually people did that, but we were the first people doing it. And so if you can get that messaging across, like right now, everybody's still jumping on the food card bandwagon. That's going to dry up. I can promise you, because it gets to the point where it's too watered down, and these people are like swapping food cards. Then there's veterans. People are advertising to veterans. That we've done some of that.
Truckers, semi-drivers.
Truckers, I've been seeing those ads.
They're fucking, dude, they're fucking everywhere, man.
Yeah.
It's always I hate even calling myself this, even though I did sell it, but it's like all the coaches and all this shit. They're just post organic content to these people. It's like, and you'll get 1 million followers like I did. It's like, first off, you have tits. All right. I'm a dude. I can't just show cleavage or like my feet or balls and get followed.
Truckers are definitely going to follow you. Probably not for insurance help, but for
they want farts in a jar and shit like that. These dudes are over here, man.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. I'm glad you said that though. That's
but it's and there's always going to be, there's interest targeting hooks. There's things you can come up with. But I knew one person years ago, and she wouldn't tell anybody what it was. We figured it out. She was having a lot of success. She took my Facebook ads course. I had my first course I ever did was on Facebook ads, and it was basically, instead of lead development, I was just teaching people how to get attention and get people to call them and like engage in the comments. And I was pretty early on. It was probably 2018. I sold that course, but it's $97. It's a Facebook ads course for $97. And this girl took it, and she was like, it worked, because I was telling them, like, think of certain interests that you can target. The best ones are the ones that I'm not going to tell you about, the ones that nobody knows about, and that you thought of. And she started advertising to railroad retirees, because railroad Medicare is different than traditional Medicare.
Oh,
and
interesting.
She had a whole niche there because nobody was doing it. She found a way to target them on Facebook or something at the time, and she was rolling in it. Was writing all kinds of business super cheap.
Pennies on the dollar. I'd love to see those CPMs.
Yeah, and that's the way it is. Like if you can figure it out, like there's people that have did TRS in Texas and California, Texas retirements or teachers retirement systems in Texas and California have done really well in the past. There's people that have gotten an AMA and they dealt with doctors. I know people that have propped up SEO websites for like doctorsbenefits.com and CPAbenefits.com, and they would do, like, their whole goal was disability income for doctors. And they created like organic websites, and nobody was chasing it. It's always just finding these like niches that people aren't chasing well at the time. Most people think it's like super technical information, but really it's very low tech, very high, interest targeting. And if you do, and then a lot of them too, what they're doing is using high interest targeting to send them to a website and then creating a, a very hyper specific audience of people that are interested in that to then retarget with hyper aggressive advertising, or trying to collect people into Facebook groups or send them to YouTube channels so that they can become celebrity in their mind. If you look at like Boomer Benefits, I can tell what they're doing. They're all their Facebook strategy for Medicare is send them to websites, send them to websites, send them to websites, capturing their IP address, retargeting with ads that go to Facebook groups, email lists, and YouTube. And then all of a sudden now they're everywhere and it's free. Now they're everywhere for free because Facebook group is free. So they're in the Facebook group. So every time they log on Facebook, the algorithm on Facebook, by the way, prioritizes content from the groups that you're part of.
Yep.
So, and Zuckerberg said that years ago, and it still hasn't really changed. So Facebook posts popping up, Boomer Benefits, Boomer Benefits, Boomer Benefits. Then you subscribe to their YouTube channel. You go on YouTube, Boomer Benefits, Boomer Benefits. Then you added your email to the list. You get on email, Boomer Benefits, Boomer Benefits. So when you decide you want Medicare, who are you going to call?
Boomer Benefits.
Boomer Benefits.
Just top of mind awareness.
Where did most of their ads went to get you into the pipeline maybe years before you bought, but it was there and it worked, and anyway, I mean, it's genius. And but like there's so many strategies. Like you could think the longer term you think, the bigger it can get,
Most just aren't willing to deal with that short-term pain and discomfort.
Right.
What they don't realize is they'll deal with it fucking forever.
And you can scale it and scale it and scale it. You just have to decide, am I trying to build the biggest and best operation in the world, or am I trying to? And there are some people that have made a lot of money building a very short-term motivated, business as well, but I don't know.
That's what I did. And then I ended up shutting all my insurance shit down. I'm launching some different offers and publishing other people stuff down. I don't want to have to deal with all that fulfillment.
Yeah.
It's not worth the money when you got people in our industry that are like $47. Like I had a girl bought a program 2 months ago. She had an overdraft fee, so she already didn't have money, and she still bought my program. Thank you, but she asked me to pay the overdraft fee. It's like, what?
Yeah. Dude, I've had, like you said earlier when we got on that old message of the $97. I mean, you get
the CRM people are they're the worst, dude. They're like, what is this $2 rebilling? It's like it's your 4 text messages that you sent.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had that where they'll cancel and then they get rebilling because they had texts going out and they're like, but this came after I canceled it. And I'm like, it's communications that went on your behalf. What do you want me to pay for those texts that went to your customers?
Yeah, I ain't doing that shit. And then when they start disputing stuff, that's always my favorite. I just love disputes, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Stripe dispute. It's Stripe. Sometimes I feel like they let them get away with too much on there.
They do. I had to go get a custom processor through a Navy Federal and then like authorized. I took all of that in-house. I'm just not dealing with fucking Stripe anymore. I think they hate capitalism.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting because they have so much volume going through there.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. I'm gonna share your book real quick.
What I'm gonna be going.
That too.
I don't know what that was.
So if you guys want to go check out Justin's Purpose After Service book from Marine to Millionaire, even get the hard cover. So you guys don't want soft covers, all right? That shit is only good for starting a fire. So go get the hard cover.
Call them flaccid covers.
Do what?
Call them flaccid covers.
Yeah, you ever been flaccid in the bedroom when it's time to perform? No one likes it. Okay, no one
wants that flimsy flaccid cover.
Yeah, no one likes like flaccid whiskey. Yeah, no one likes that. So go get the hard cover, and I'll get a copy of it after this just to support you. I'll leave a good review. Hang on, what is this, man? What are you marketing in?
You know what's funny is
what is this?
it's a category thing. So like every person that goes to my book says they send me these screenshots and this vagina business is there. And I don't know. It's some kind of category they came out and it continues to get recommended. I think what is happening is insurance agents are interested in Marine to Millionaire and the vagina business.
I think they're interested in getting sex because they're not getting a lot of it because they ain't making no damn money. I
Must
think
be what
that's
it
what
is.
it is.
It
They're like,
must be.
fuck it. I'm
My
gonna become
wife,
a
it's
trucker.
funny. My wife had that one served when she went on there because she sent it to me, and then it was somebody else that took a picture of it. And so I think it was Cameron Giardini put it on Facebook that's the one he saw too. So yeah, it's very common. But no,
That,
I super appreciate any support on there. The proceeds on that book too are going to Tunnels for Towers and Wounded Warrior Foundation. We're not taking any of the profit on there. It's like the whole point is really just to get that book out to as many people. So if you buy it, and you know a veteran that you can give it to after you're done with it or something like that, that's really what we want. If it affects any change, the whole philosophy on it is, there's a lot of veterans that we feel like are suicidal or homeless or all this stuff, and I think it just comes from them not getting excited about anything post service because the military held this kind of gravitas, like it was something that they felt proud of. And it's like, oh, getting an insurance, I'm not proud of that. And so my whole point in the book is trying to show them how what they might consider a mundane career can hold a lot of quality weight in the world. It can make them happy. They just have to think about things outside of the product, which is something we were talking about earlier. Like, don't think about Medicare. Think about building a business and bringing other veterans into it and showing them a way of life, or bringing just other people in general, your family, whatever. Think about the other aspects, and I kind of tie it back to things we learn in the military that are applicable and would make them good business owners and entrepreneurs.
no, I think that's awesome. So I'll definitely go check it out, leave a review. And then other than that, you got any like ending thoughts you want to share with anybody? Any shout outs back home to the homies? What do you got?
Yeah, this was for the homies. No, I just, trying to get out there. Anybody that's watching that has a podcast, we would love to take the time to get on there, and would love anybody to follow us on Instagram at the Justin Brock. We're putting up content and trying to help people out, and just appreciate the opportunity to be here with Mason. Obviously, see a
Yeah,
lot of
and
stuff.
you guys have a sale going on right now too, don't you?
We
Or
have
is
the
it,
Cyber Monday sale may still be going on for all of our replays, 60% off. Cyber Monday 60 at store.justinbrock.com.
is it
Uh,
still for, I saw like something like you can get a diamond ticket or something for 40%. I'm
Medicare
not sure if
Con,
it's
you
still
have
going.
40% off. I don't know if it is or not, but you can try it. MedicareCon.com, Black Friday 40 for 40% off all the tickets. And either way, if you haven't got your ticket to Medicare Con, it's going to be a blast. We're going to have a great time. Hope to see many of you there. We're making sure that we change it up. Every year we try to change it up. Some years that goes better than others, but this year I think it's going to be pretty awesome. We're bringing in some outside, high level business influence, corporate lawyers and tax attorneys, stuff like that, that I believe will add a different twist to it. But still going to focus heavily on book of business sales, agency acquisition, marketing, and then team building.
Well, there you guys go. Go to store, watch the last 30 seconds again and go to that. I'll put a link down in the description, and then go get Purpose After Service for a nice Christmas present. Whatever it's called these days, it's right around the corner. So I appreciate having you on, Justin. Thanks for coming.
Happy Christmas Hana Kwanzaa to you.
Chris Mahanza Comic Con. That's right.
It's Christmas Comic Con.
I'll see you guys there. All right. See you, man.
Thanks, brother.